Hello, my name is Garrett. I'm the lead report developer here at TRC Consultants, and today I'm going to be talking about staying current with reporting, showing some new and revised reports that we have going on. So what I will be covering today for our updated reports is oil equivalency and what reports have that included, in addition to showing off the one-liner and some different versions of the one-liner that I'm not sure everybody knows about that I think are pretty fun and helpful. For new reports, I'm going to go over the projection edit, which, yes, we had last time, but this time I'm going to show you how to run it, edit the data once it's run, and then re-import it back into the program. And then I'm going to show our two new reports, which is the history projection variance, along with the monthly volume export. And then I'm going to show off some custom reports, one that was built with the Texas Comptroller, and then an example of a report that is similar to a report that made for the Oxy Property Tax Division. And after that, then I'll go into Spotfire, kind of showing what we have on our side to be able to hook up into Spotfire. Alright, so for our updated reports, we have oil equivalency. It has been added into the detailed and one-liner reports, and you're able to select it in the user-defined report when you're picking out all your columns. And just because of where and how it's been added, it will be in your CSV reports if you're using the report KCECO output table, which that's the one by default. So unless you make a custom output table, you'll get those oil equivalency values. Now this will just show you the gross and net oil equivalency values. So right now I will show off the detailed version of that with this small group of cases. And like all the other different versions of detailed, this is a parameter. So it starts with your standard type. You get oil and gas. Click on the type. Down here you have the oil equivalency. We'll run that, and you have your gross oil, gas, and then the oil equivalency of it. Same with your net. Everything else is the basic that's in there, but those are added to this now. And then I will show you the custom user. And since it is in one of these report tables, you're able to select it just like you can in the CSV, where it'll go straight to Excel. And so I will switch out. We'll do the gas revenue with the net oil equivalency. Just scroll down here since it's alphabetical. Resubmit it, and now I have my net oil equivalency, which you can math that out using the input for the oil equivalency that is in the products configuration. So come over here to oil equivalency ratios, and it will use anything in here in the ratio output to that oil equivalency column. You can add more in here if you want. You can add sulfur or methane, not there by default, but you can add them there if you wanted to, and then it would use them. And so next we have our one-liner, and a couple of different variations of the one-liner that we have are the user-defined, where you can select two products to show in the one-liner format. It's similar to the detailed user-defined. That one gets 3. Just because of space available, this is a one-liner. We're only getting 2 with the one-liner. And then we have our value ranking, which has different groupings. You can group, if you want to, group by class and then class and category. And it will show you the rankings for overall on every case you selected, or you can have it show the rankings for just those specific groups. And that's the same with the total value for the percentage. It can be just in the groups or throughout the whole selection. And then the present worth type. So everything you have in the PW table and at the bottom of the reports now in a one-liner format. That one was added might have been in there last time, but I don't think anybody talked about it, and I don't know how many people actually select all the different types and run them all. But I'll show you how each one of those works, in addition to the one-liner having the oil equivalency. So we have our user defined, where we can select oil and gas. I'll switch that up and add NGL. Now we have oil and NGL. Our oil equivalency, it's going to be the same as the detailed. You have your gross, your nets, that's oil, gas, and then oil equivalency. And we'll go with our value ranking. So here is the base value ranking on these cases. Ranks for the selection, percent of total value, and cumulative percentage of exactly what we have. So I'm going to group by class and category. Notice our rankings have all of these as just 1 through 10 with this alone by itself. And the cumulative percent is also just for each group. So we will check the overall ranking and percent of total value so that rerun it. Now you can see 4 is not here because it's in this other group, and the cumulative percent is of every single one that you ran. And now we will go to the present worth option. So you have all the different present worth profiles variations that you put in here, all in a one-liner format. You can see everything side by side. This will follow whatever order you have them in, starting with A, going down to the very end. All right, so now some new reports. So for the projection edit, you can easily edit the values in Excel. I'm going to walk through this process in the program just to make it easier, but you run the report, you can run the report, it will open it up in Excel. You can update any data that you want to, save it, and then go back in and re-import it, and all of the appropriate columns should auto-populate, so you don't have to get anything on there. It will auto fill in. So yeah, why not? Let's use these same exact ones. Come down here to projection edit. We'll run these. Opens up in Excel. And I like to just set all my columns the same. So come over here to our values, and you'll notice the names are a little bit more detailed than you might think. That's because those are the names that they are set to for our importer. So it's just easier to have the names the same, that way it does auto map. So what's some fun things we can do with my segment 1 and 2? Let's have this segment 2 end in 27. It's not a whole lot, but hey, should be fun. And that was for ARPS. Now we get the problem with having it extended all the way. So we have oil here. Yeah. Let's have oil QF as our QI. Have our oil QF be 321. All right. So I've just made a couple changes. Not much. You can save it to make as many edits as you want to, but I will save these to my flash drive as a CSV because that's what it'll import. All right, we're saved. Actually, let me go ahead and close that just in case it has an issue. Come back to the home, we will import, and then I just need to find my CSV. All right, and we'll map data, and notice all of these, the values that you need are auto-populated. And we don't have the class, we don't have this gen info populated because you're probably not going to change that, and since there is this category and subcategory, field and reservoir, country, state, two different values in the same cell, they're not going to input. They're not going to import very well. So they're here, and we'll just import it. All right. It took, so let's see, made this one my oil. Was on a case one, and it brought it all in. It's easy as can be with that. And go back to my reports selection for going forward. And now, so one of our newer ones, the history and projection variance, it was requested quite a bit since we did have this in 2, but hadn't made it in 3 yet. One of the issues with this is because it uses projection data and that it is not actually saved in the database, it's calculated and used in the eco engine. Wasn't there to store, I couldn't pull it report-wise, so we had talked a while to things like, well, we should be able to hit the eco engine with reports. We hadn't had a chance to test it, but we did, which is how we got this report. And as just a first initial, can we do it? And so it shows us we can hit the eco engine, and knowing that, we'll be able to make more reports that are a bit more in-depth than we have had previously. This gives us much greater access. And for this report, you have, just like in 2, you have columns for history, projection, the variance between them, and then your history cums. And you will only get values for in the history column. It is only history. There won't be any projection value, so depending on your precedence, doesn't matter in this one. And you'll only see projected the same way, won't have any history, even if that's precedence, and you won't have leading or trailing zeros. Variance is only going to show up when you have both. And an option on this report is making the variance a percentage. And that percentage is color-coded. So I will come over here to the history projection variance on these. And we'll get that one going. So in this particular case, no history. This is the printout that I had, was for my second case because it has overlap. And now, if I want to show the variance as a percentage, still not there, but we have percentage. And if your variance is under plus or minus 200, it'll be green. If it's over that, it will be red, just to have it stand out to you. And let's see, I don't think I have any that are over that right now. No, I don't. But it does give you just a nice little visual indicator. You don't have to have it if you don't want it. You just want to see the pure variance. You don't have to check it and run it. That's what you have. And another one that we have been requested quite a bit is a monthly volume export. So you'll run this like a few reports that we have, goes directly to Excel. And for this one, you'll get more than just oil and gas. You'll have your oil, gas, water, and NGL. It will show your history next to your projection for the whole case. I do want to warn you, because this goes directly to Excel and how the reports have to be made, it will run the report, generate the whole thing, and then like save it in Excel and then open it up. So it can take a while to open up. It'll be thinking and thinking, and it'll say it's done thinking down here and finished. That's because it's gone to Excel and it's loading in there. So unless an error message pops up, it's thinking in the background. So here we have the variance in Excel. It's a nice, good Excel format. One column, shouldn't be any weird extra rows. And it'll go down, and the limit we have on this is the limits for Excel, which I think I did some rough math on it. If you had a couple thousand cases, each with 50 years of history and projection. I think that, and each case had that full 50 years. I think then we might be hitting the limit of Excel, but it's still so much better than what we had into with how we're able to get it and see everything. It's just now we're at the limits of Excel as opposed to Access. And we'll continue working on this monthly volume export to add in more products to make it more dynamic, but just as a first go around, we have these 4 most common products. And so now we have our custom reports. So here's the report that I made with the Texas Comptroller. This is actually a recreation of their version 2 report. And I know the text is here, I'll run it. And some of this is their general specific ID code, so it'll be blank on this report. But it does have quite a bit of different information on it. Let me go to... Did I not add this? Oh. It is said differently than I thought it was. It's got quite a bit of different data in here. So this top section, ID codes, and these are all basically different subreports in one larger report. Here you've got your gen info, and then we have a section of just projections. This is report date product data of just the products that are there. This section is our economic data. We have a section for investments. It'll list out all of the investments you have in here. Prices for oil, gas, and condensate, which is what they wanted. Tax information for all of your static variable taxes. All the costs that are in here. And they will spell out onto new pages if you have multiple costs, investments, taxes. And then the last section in here is everything they have in notes. And so in version 2, they had 3 different reports. One that's a working copy, preliminary, and final. Now it's the single report where all you're doing is changing the report header. Everything else is the same. So it's got quite a bit in it that I think probably has more individually in it than most reports. I'd say maybe the input report is different, but that's still broken up into kind of definitive sections. And this has a whole bunch of different sub-reports in it. I like it. It shows a lot of information, and I hadn't made anything like this, so it was a fun little challenge to try and recreate what he had done in 2. All right, next we have our example of a report that is similar to the Oxy Property Tax Department's report. And I like this one because it's got more on it than we normally have on reports. It has some pretty good parameters. So, like our user-defined reports and the detailed and one-liners, you have product selection that will be up here for your economics. We've got oil, gas, and CO2 in this example, and that can be changed out to all the products that you have. The next is the projections at report date down here beside the graph, and you can select which graph you want, which slot you want in there. So it's, got both. You can select your products. Then they have a projection for volume per month and how many days are in that month. So right now we're doing, just the big average for anything, but if you wanted specific number of days in the month for your information, you would have that. And I like this report because it's got more on it. We have a couple of reports where we have the graph with, you have an option to check and you can get some of this projection at report date underneath it. And it changes the style of the graph from landscape to portrait. But you don't have all your economics. Others, you have your page of economics and then your graph page, which is handy. You get a bigger graph. But I like this because it doesn't look like anything we currently have. And it just, you get a little bit of everything with it. And now we'll go into our Spotfire section. So when we started talking about getting Spotfire and wanting to use it for visualization, I want to say that was around last year when we started, because everyone uses some kind of visualization software. We didn't have anything, so we got a license for Spotfire. Started out with the demo, which is what I did. So I had the trial on it. And some of the issues that we had was Spotfire did not like linking to stored procedures and queries, which is what we use to run all of our other reports. It is able to be done, and we got help from somebody else with that, but it used quite a bit of Python and basically all of their work for it. So while, yes, we could get that and copy it over and change one or two things to get it for what we wanted, it wasn't really a feasible option. I did notice while playing around that Spotfire would kind of work better with tables that we had, just like our regular report output tables. It's like, okay, maybe we can kind of work with that. And that's what we ended up doing right now is you run the Spotfire report and it will give you your different output tables. And so it can hit on those. I think we're at 4 right now. And it reads that data considerably better. And so right now you can get a package for Spotfire on the client portal. All it's doing is running the report and putting that data into an output database. And it is implemented pretty good by Blue River. They have a pre-built dashboard, and they're actually presenting later today. So if you come in and watch them, you'll see the fun visualizations that they've been able to do with it, which is past our expertise. So if you're going to run the Spotfire, you're going to need to set it up, and then you'll run it, verify that it is there, and then you can work on the visualization. So right now, I'm going to walk you through the whole setup process to the verifying the data. I don't have Spotfire on this machine, so I can't show you that visualization. But again, Blue River's later this afternoon, they can show you that portion. And right now, the tables that we have output are all your ID codes, your monthly economics, monthly history, and then those economics in the one-liner format. So I'm going to assume that you have downloaded Spotfire from our client portal. Come over to reports, add new report, change report type to DevExpress. You can do it as CSV. It's better if you just change it to DevExpress. You get one less pop-up. So import it, you'll navigate to where it is. And so here's my Spotfire one. Open that. It needs investments, report KCECO, and user-defined KCECO. All years, all monthly. Everything should be checked, but it's best to give it a look over. All right, so we'll close that. Now we need to go to Management Studio. Because we're putting this in an output database, the database has to exist before the data can fill it. So this is the particular instance that I'm working in. Current databases, let me refresh. All right. So new database, it needs to be called Spotfire. And once it's there, it'll be at the bottom, or not, depending on how you have all your names. It's empty, but that database has to be there. Otherwise, you'll get an error and nothing will work. So I have these cases, everything's checked. So I will run it. All the economics will happen, and you'll get a previewer page. Once this preview page is open and it tells you that the report is complete, it will tell you which tables have been created and they're like the names, so you know which ones are there. Unless this page shows up, the report hasn't finished running. because it's executing the query, creating the tables, and populating them. And if you've run this a second time, it will delete everything that were previously in the tables. So these queries have a lot to do before they can finish. And some of these, like your monthly history and monthly production, with every, since they're monthly, if you do all years, all months, that's a lot of rows. So this report pops up. We can close this. It lets us know that it's done. Now we'll come back over here to Management Studio and refresh our Spotfire tables. All of them are here, but we can check them out. So we'll do top 1,000. Here are the cases that I ran with all the different ID codes in alphabetical order. You can use that to link in your visualization. We have all of our one-liner info, has your economics, important dates, life, if it's commercial or non-economic, and why it's non-economic, some forecast info. This is what was in one of our connects, is this one-liner along with the productions. And we have had requests for adding models and project information to these Spotfire tables. So we have an example that has those. If y'all are using and need other tables to use in Spotfire, if there's different data that would look good that you want to see, let us know. We can work on adding more tables and just kind of filling that out. But for now, this is what we have. It's got quite a bit of info. I'm sure it can always use more though. All right, so that's all for Stan Curtin Reports. Thank you for joining me.